Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and we're going to be anxiously waiting the Pete Carroll press conference because when your team's 2-12, you got to find the glass half full, and I almost feel like I am a professional glass half fuller right now. Now, coming up here on today's show, we're going to answer questions from Raider Nation, and I mean this when I say it. I want y'all to get your hashtag Raiders in. I want y'all to get your super chats in. But also, we're going to give you guys opportunities to call into the show. FaceTime, we're going to give you 60 seconds. No money is required. I want to hear what you have to say, just like y'all want to hear what I have to say. And I saw a comment before I went live. Shout out to Keith. Keith is like, yo, what did Keith say? Keith goes, Mitch, get your ass on the tube. Keith, man, there's no other place I'd rather be here than on YouTube with Raider Nation. I said it earlier today on the show that I did. I want people to hit that subscribe button because I need y'all to have my back. And I know that y'all have my back. I think deep down, just like you guys know that I have your back. And, you know, like I found myself finding ways today to laugh about the situation we're in. I was told by somebody yesterday that I'm too negative, that, you know, we got to be a little bit more happy here on the show. So I'm really going to try really, really hard over the next 3 weeks to be a little bit more positive because I do see a glimmer of hope. And the glimmer of hope is the fact that we got about 3 weeks until this season is over. So to the 511 people that are already watching the show with me today, if you haven't already, I hope that you're subscribed because I got your back. And I know you guys got mine. So my first question here, if you didn't see the video that I put out this morning, there's a report from NBC Sports indicating that there's some conversations right now around the Raiders potentially asking Pete Carroll to step down or retire. My question to you is, would you want that to happen? Yes or no? I think the bigger underlying question here is like, do you want Pete Carroll to be gone next season? But I want to be very, very clear. I am happy that the Raiders are trying to do their due diligence. And when you have a coach like Pete, this is the right way to do it because he is a legendary head coach. He is a 74-year-old man. And I don't really think Pete Carroll wants to be fired. Nobody wants to be fired. And the thought of a 74-year-old man being fired from his job, like I'm not going to lie to you, it kind of even rubs me the wrong way. But if you're not doing your job, I don't care if you're 74 or if you're 47 or if you're 32 or however old you are, if you're not doing the right job, Reeve had to chime in and remind me that he's 24 years old. Christ, grow up. You know, but like if you're not doing your job, you know, you got to find a way to move on. So I know a lot of people enjoy these Pete Carroll presser reaction shows. I know that there's a lot of people that want to see what Pete have to say, what I have to say. But Raider Nation in a 2-12 year, y'all's voices are just as important as mine. So today, you're going to have an opportunity to get up on screen, to give me your 2 cents. You get 60 seconds in order to do it, and I hope that we get a lot of people that want to chime in today because it's a bright new day. We're one step closer, man. We're one step closer to the offseason, and, dude, I love the offseason so much more than I love the actual regular season. So today, our Monday deals are this. If you want a chance to win a signed Maxx Crosby helmet or a signed Maxx Crosby football, we're giving away 2 items at the end of the month. Every $5 super chat you send in is 1 raffle ticket. If you want everybody to know that you want Pete Carroll to retire, send in a 10. I'll say it out loud, but I think that this is just more or less like planting your flag, right? I know there's a lot of people that are going to comment. Yes, there's going to be a lot of people that comment no. But I think when you really, truly plant your flag and let your voice be heard, I just think that that speaks volumes. If you want a chance to get in our duck race, $20 Venmo at Mitchell Renz 365. I will say this, if you want me to call you and you get in the duck race, if we don't have any like buddy that's, let's say, calling in, if I see your phone number, guess what? I'll tell Reed to give you a call. If you do end up sending in a hundo, it's a bang. We will spin the wheel. The wheel is essentially going to be how many raffle tickets you end up getting for the Maxx Crosby raffle. And then if you want to FaceTime on the show, right frickin' now. Well, not right now. I got to tell you about PrizePicks, and then we'll get some FaceTimes in here. But I'm going to be live until 2 o'clock my time, so because here at Chat Sports we have a company meeting in about 90 minutes, I have to leave for that company meeting. If Pete Carroll, for whatever reason, ends up restructuring their live time like they did last week and they end up pushing it back, you guys are going to see me again because, Pete, you ain't running from me this week. You're not running from me this week, Pete. I want to hear what you got to say, and I want to be able to react with Raider Nation. So if you want to get up here on the program, FaceTime me right now, 945-225-1736. Before we get into all those, and before we get into some of the super chats that I see down below, today's show sponsor is PrizePicks. And I'm excited to be able to show y'all my PrizePicks lineup from yesterday because confidently, I know I would have hit my flex play. But thanks to a new feature by PrizePicks, I was able to still put some money in my pocket. Now, you guys have heard me talk about PrizePicks all season long. It's the holiday season. It's the best time of the year. I can't wait to be able to go home and visit my family. I will not be here Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. I got a flight 6 a.m. to come back for Raiders-Texans, so don't worry. I will be back no matter what. But this is the time of the year where you got to make decisions. What gifts to buy, maybe what lineup to roll with. You can do all of that on PrizePicks because that's the place where it feels good to be right. Now, the new feature on PrizePicks that I was talking about is the early payout. So if your lineup gets off to a hot start, you now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. So this was my lineup yesterday for Raiders and Eagles. And I'm going to just say it, if the Raiders weren't such a dumpster fire, I would have been able to turn $10 into $50. I turned 10 into $27.40. What obviously hurt me was Saquon Barkley getting benched in the fourth quarter because I took the more on the 83.5. He was at 78 yards, and confidently, I think he would have got an additional 5 yards if he would have stayed in the game. But this is a brand new feature that PrizePicks offers. And right now for Raiders fans, you do have the opportunity to get started. And I say that because this Raiders team's bad. And I don't mean to say this like it's not rocket science, but right now I've had a lot of success on PrizePicks by going more with somebody that's going up against the Raiders, and I go less on Ashton Jeanty, or I go less on somebody playing for the Raiders, and it's because the Raiders are bad, and the teams that they play end up looking really good, right? Gronk said it yesterday. Rob Gronkowski said it. The Las Vegas Raiders are, I forget what he said exactly, but it's basically like the Las Vegas Raiders are the team that you can get right, and they are. They're the team that you can get right against. I forget what the reference was he made exactly, but my point is this. Give yourself something to root for during the season. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code CLNS to be able to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. So I am looking right now, and I want to be very clear. I am seeing that the Raiders press conference is in fact scheduled for 1 o'clock. I just want to double check that. Just want to double check it. Though it's funny, I literally just typed in Raiders official YouTube channel and our channel came up. Good.
That is literally exactly what happened to me. Hello, everybody, by the way. I'm behind the scenes right now.
Yeah, Reed is back. So the Raiders are scheduled to go live in 20 minutes. I want to be very clear. You don't have to leave this live show to watch the Pete Carroll presser. In fact, I encourage you to keep your views, keep your comments, keep everything here with us, and don't give it to the Raiders media team. A media team, let's face it, they don't deserve it, right? So we're going to be able to sit up here. You guys are going to literally be able to see me react to the Pete Carroll presser while we're all sitting here kind of doing it together. Giggity. And at this point, I want to hang out with y'all because I want to hear what Pete Carroll has to say, and I want to hear what type of questions are being asked. Does Parsons' injury worry you in the draft maybe? Jerry is Jerry after all. I don't really see what you're saying here because, one, Micah's with the Packers. Jerry is Jerry after all. I'll say this, if Micah Parsons, who tore his ACL, he just posted on social media, he's going to be out about 9 months, and that's a tough injury to come back from. When you're a freak athlete like Micah Parsons is, I'm anticipating that he's going to be back week 1 from somebody that's tore their ACL, MCL, LCL. I think the only thing I haven't done is patella in my left knee. But, it can, like for me, if I'm able to run sprints 7 months, Micah Parsons going to be able to run sprints, come 7 months here. But I'll say this, with Micah being out in that edge position, being a team that could be a need, when teams need something, teams get desperate. And people don't want to hear the conversation about trading away Maxx Crosby, but I do think that you have to have those conversations if you're the Raiders, because this is clearly a team that's got a lot of holes. You can clearly, restore a lot of these different pieces that we might need by moving on from Maxx. But let's just say, there were teams that were looking at some edge rushers in the draft. Those teams now might be like, oh, crap, could the Packers now be a team that's in the edge market where they didn't expect it? And, that's how more or less I think about this situation. Not really Jerry being Jerry. Again, Micah's not on the Dallas Cowboys. So, if anything, I'd make the argument if Micah was still on the Dallas Cowboys, I know for a fact the team that has called the Raiders about Maxx Crosby is Dallas. Again, the asking price is going to be the problem, because what the Raiders want and what NFL teams are offering are just very, very different. And it's because of the relationship Mark Davis and Maxx Crosby have, which people don't understand how close that those two guys are from a business working perspective. I'm not saying they're buddies hanging out on the weekends, but I think that they are a lot closer than what people realize. Let's go to some more super chats here as we wait. I see one down there, EME Mexican Warrior. Thank you for your hard work, Mitch. Thank you guys for showing up every single day. You know what I mean? We got a phone call coming in? Possibly phone call coming in. Got to answer it. No, but you know what I mean? I appreciate the fact that when you guys say thank you on stuff like that, but again, it's a two-way street, right? I'm not just going to go live if nobody's going to be here watching. I'm going live this morning because we got 650 people here in the building. We got 650 people wondering, what the hell am I getting myself into watching the Las Vegas Raiders? And, a few of the guys here were laughing at the thumbnail that I made. If you didn't see it, it's Patrick and SpongeBob with the orbit confusion. If you don't know what it is, look it up. But, when I listen to Pete Carroll talk, it kind of reminds me of the orbit confusion. And I'm just sitting there going, what am I listening to right now? What is going on with the words coming out of your mouth? And it's like a jigsaw puzzle. And I didn't realize this. I like puzzles. And listening to what Pete Carroll has to say is truly, truly like solving a puzzle. Let's go to the next super chat here on the program. Jonathan Green, Mad Max, let's freaking go. You are in for the raffle. I've actually had some fans reach out to me asking whether or not I was going to be able to get them the triangle mask sign. I've been working on that one. Again, I don't blame Max, and I don't blame certain players for not talking to me right now. It's just not a good situation in that locker room. It's not a good situation at all. And if I was a player in that locker room, I would tell each and every one of y'all, don't pay attention to me. Don't pay attention to any of the outside noise, because we got a big problem going on with the Raiders. When your leader, number 98, walks out onto that field yesterday and gets everybody in the circle and goes, this is a statement game, and the statement that y'all make is a 31-0 ass kicking. I get it's up against the former Super Bowl champs. I get it. It's on the road in Philadelphia. But NFL teams don't look as bad as what the Raiders have been looking. The NFL teams aren't as bad as what the Raiders are in every aspect of the game. And that's kind of where, again, when you hear a guy like Greg Olsen trolling us, when you hear the amount of people that are trolling the Raiders, I think people are surprised actually how bad they are. And then when you watch this team for 4 quarters, and again, we've been watching this team for 4 quarters for weeks, I'm not surprised anymore. When I see somebody go, man, the Raiders are going to Raider and they're going to, lose a game, obviously it's possible, with Minshew now playing scares me. The Giants game scares me a little bit. But as bad as what you think those teams are, watch the Raiders for 4 quarters. The Raiders, I honestly think, are JMU, and all other NFL teams are Oregon, where I expect Oregon to kick the shit out of James Madison in the college football playoffs. And I think all of us really do sit here and they're like, yeah, I expect James Madison to lose because of the talent differential. But you shouldn't see that much of a differential in the NFL. And you see it week in and week out with the silver and black. Let's go to Jersey Boy Greaser. A Belichick hiring is going to hit like crack. I mean, if the Raiders hired Bill Belichick, the only thing that would hit like crack is like me breaking my back from stepping on that crack, because I don't know what I would do. I mean, I've had a lot of crash outs on my day doing this show. You guys have had a lot of crash outs in your day being Raiders fans. But, like, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, and firing a 74-year-old head coach to go out and hire a 78-year-old head coach that's clearly showing you that he's washed up just doesn't make any sense at all. Makes literally, and I mean literally, no sense at all. We got a FaceTime call coming in here. And again, if you want to get a call in, 945-225-1736. First name, last name, give me your YouTube name. What's your question or what's your take? Yeah, unfortunately. Hang on, buddy. Hang on. I can't hear you right now. It looks like our audio, we're still trying to figure it out. We'll bring you back on. Now we got it. Can you try it now?
Hi, Mitch. My name's Levi Pirtle. YouTube name's Levi Pirtle25. I've been watching you for a few years now. Big fan. But the way that the Raiders organization is right now, I feel like Mark Davis really needs to step up as an owner. And our management needs to step up big time. I feel like what we've been doing with Pete Carroll and the offense led by Pete Carroll is just not enough. You know, we are die hard. We're here to win, and that's just not what is going on right now.
I mean, I think Pete was hired to win football games and get Raider Nation to rally behind, Geno Smith, get them to rally behind this team. But I don't know how, as an organization, you can hang your hat on anything that this team is doing right now. Like, as a fan, I'll ask you, what's the number one reason, if you were Pete Carroll, you deserve to be back next season?
I mean, with this being the first season and he was out for, a year or so, not having a head coach job, maybe just giving him that chance of, this is my first year, it can happen. I mean, look at Dan Campbell, for instance, with the Lions. He didn't have a great run his first year, right? So,
yeah, but I mean, I think that those guys at least showed some promise. Like, to me, the Raiders lack simple fundamental things. Like, when you got a defense that doesn't set the edge, when you got guys that are just constantly playing out of place, and I think the only reason why you're starting to see some of these rookies play well is because, you basically told us all year long that the rookies weren't good enough to play, and now, because of injuries, because of other things, they're kind of being forced into the mix. I'll just say this. You can't sell me on Pete Carroll next season. You can't waste an off season. And with everything that the Raiders have, they can get this thing going in the right direction. You're not going to be able to sell me on Pete Carroll. Seriously, though, dude, I appreciate you calling into the show. I appreciate you being a loyal watcher. We're going to try to get some more people on, but you always got to be the first person. So I learned something new about you. You were the guy in 6th grade that walked out the middle of that dance floor first, and greatly appreciate you, dude.
Okay, thank you, Mitch.
Peace out, my man. Again, if you guys want to call in, 945-225-1736. I know that his audio might have been a little bit low. It could have been also us on our end. Again, we're a YouTube channel. We're trying to work through the kinks here with everything. But at the end of the day, I want to be able to find new ways to give you guys a voice. I want to be able to find new ways to make a 2-12 season interesting. And we're always going to try to mix it up because I'll tell you what, the Las Vegas Raiders on offense and defense with Pete Carroll, they don't mix shit up. So here are the Monday deals on today's show. Let's go to some of the super chats that are rolling in here, and we'll kind of go back and forth. Super chats, FaceTime call. Again, if you want to FaceTime, there's the number down below. Let's go to Goots. I think Pete should return next year to retirement. Man, I don't disagree with you. Pete, think about how tough it was for Seattle for a coach that did everything that Pete Carroll did for the Seattle Seahawks to get to that situation where they're like, yeah, we should probably have him step down because what he's doing right now isn't smart. And I think for Seattle to show you that, that speaks volumes. Now, I get it. Pete wasn't the top 2 candidates that the Raiders wanted to hire. But you've seen time and time again, like, just because you don't get your top 2 guys doesn't mean that you need to hit the panic button and then just go try to get into bed with the first person that's willing to get in bed with you, right? Like, I respect Pete wanting to still coach. I respect Pete for thinking that he can do it at 74 years old. But, like, that press conference that he had yesterday, I don't know if, can you go to the quote graphic? It's Pete Carroll after the Eagles game. For Pete to say what he did, they fought their asses off. That was the result. I have nothing but wins and background in history to set our expectations and maintain the standards that we work by, and that's what we're doing. We're still doing it. They're doing all we're asking of them, and this is the result of it against the world champs last season. Like, I see that, and all I hear is, like, first off, if a team that lost 31-0 is fighting their asses off, I encourage you to either A, look at yourself, or B, look at your players. But, like, do we really think that the Raiders fought their asses off yesterday? I mean, I get that they're not a talented football team, but it didn't look like a team fighting their asses off. And again, Pete, all he can hang his hat on is what he did in the past. And I get, like, what he did in the past is great and all, but, like, I'll keep saying it like this. Like, when I listen to Pete Carroll talk, and I always say that the Raiders are the most dysfunctional relationship that I've ever been in. It's just a fact. Like, imagine if you were in a relationship right now, and let's say the person that you are in a relationship with was, I don't know, in a healthy marriage for 30 years, but the marriage you're in right now is a really unhealthy marriage, and your husband, your wife, is looking at you going, well, you should believe in me as a husband or wife because I had a really good marriage the last time I got married. Like, I don't give a shit about your last marriage. I give a shit about this marriage, and right now, it's a shitty freaking marriage that I can't wait to get out of. Chris Reed, you're next up here on the Raiders Report. Raiders should lose. Giants, Texans. Do you think the Chiefs will rest their starters week 18? They have nothing to play for. Kind of worries me there. I mean, the news around Patrick Mahomes being probably done for the season, he is actually going to go get a second opinion on the ACL, but it looks like his season is done. I get Gardner Minshew starting scares us. But I also think that there is such thing as revenge games. I know Kenny Pickett didn't get his revenge game, but as bad as what you think the Gardner Minshew-led Kansas City Chiefs are, that's still a much better football team than the Pete Carroll Raiders right now. And it's just the truth. I'm not saying that we couldn't beat them, but the way that I would look at it as, that's a team that, yes, they are out of the playoffs, but it's also a team that, it's going to be Travis Kelce's last NFL game. They have a lot of players that probably don't want to end their legacy on a loss. And, to me, I still think that that's going to be a team that goes out there and they're going to play because Andy Reid's not worried about his job security. And there's going to be a lot of people in that organization that are still going to be fighting for their job because I know what Kansas City Chiefs are. And, they don't make the playoffs. And there's been a lot of rumors, could this team get fired? Could this guy get fired? Could this guy get fired? If I'm looking at Kansas City, there's going to be a lot of changes next season. So if I'm a player on that roster, like, I would want to stay on Kansas City because, yes, they missed the playoffs this season, but as long as Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback of that team, they're in that Super Bowl window. And that's going to be a team that, whether we hate to admit it or not, they're going to be in a Super Bowl window for the next 10 years. So if I'm a player on Kansas City, I'm going to do everything in my flipping power to show the people that make decisions, you don't want to get rid of me. Because, yes, Mahomes has got a torn ACL. And, yeah, he's probably questionable for week 1. I think that he's going to be out there playing from somebody that tore their ACL with the athletes that these guys are, with the medicine, the treatments. Mahomes is going to be out there week 1. He might not practice all offseason. He probably don't need to practice all offseason. And they might be rusty a little bit earlier on. But I am worried. But I would say this, in terms of my worriedness, I would say the number 1 game I'm the most worried about, New York Giants. The worst football team that we play. Then number 2 is Kansas City, and because Gardner Minshew's in that mix, I am a little bit more concerned. But Houston, I don't see how the hell we even kind of compete with Houston. It's the best defense in the NFL. Like, I hope Geno Smith starts, and I hope he gets his shit absolutely pushed in. And I mean this, like I had somebody tell me, Mitch, if you want to be more positive, root for the Raiders to lose harder. I am going to root for the Raiders to lose harder. On game days, you're going to hear me, if it's a first down C.J. Stroud, guess what? I'm going to be celebrating the absolute shit out of that. We got another call coming in here on the Raiders Report, and it looks like he's trying to rebuild Allegiant Stadium. What's going on, man? Give me first name, last name, YouTube name. What's your question or comment?
What's up, man? It's Frankie Gonzalez here, checking in from Arizona. You already know we at work. You already know. Check it out.
I mean, the fact that people listen to my show building shit is mind-blowing to me.
This is what I do, man. I listen to your show all the time while I'm at work, bro. Building houses, keeping America moving. My question to you guys is, what do we have to do this offseason to turn this thing around, man? I'm tired. I mean, I wasn't born a Raider fan like you, Mitch, so I can relate. But, man, I've been a Raider fan for as long as I can remember. And every year, bro, same bullshit.
I'll give you a housing analogy. Keeping Pete Carroll is like building a home on a really shitty foundation. It just doesn't make any sense, right? Like, why you can't build something with a 74-year-old head coach. And when you look at the Raiders, I mean, there's so many things that are wrong with this team. So I think you got to start small. And the smallest way that you start is you sit down in a room with Tom Brady, John Spytek, whoever you think are the big decision makers, and you say, who's the guy that you want? And then you pursue them. To me, it's a Shula, it's a Minter, it's a Brian Flores, it's a Clint Kubiak, and I'm going to really go heavy after those four guys. And then you get those four guys in a room, you tell them, like, hey, sell me on why you should be the next Raiders head coach, get that plan together, and whatever plan you think fits with what the team you have and your personal plan, then you invest in that plan. Because if you don't have a plan, you end up drafting a running back like Ashton Jeanty at number 6 overall behind one of the worst offensive lines, and you hire your Nepo kid, Brennan Carroll, to be the run game corner and offensive line coach. Like, to me, we got to invest in the offensive line. We got $110 million in salary cap. If you don't put your hand in the dirt, I ain't spending money on you in free agency. So that's kind of how I would look at it. But there's a lot of issues with this team. I think we got to start small, and we just got to get the right guy to be the head coach.
Dude, this season was going to be my first season ever going to a game at Allegiant, but I had to sell my tickets, bro. There was no way in hell I was about to make the drive. I mean, it's not far of a drive, like 4.5 hours from Arizona. But still, like, considering I have to pay for a hotel, and then I'm going to get drinks and beers or whatnot.
Oh, dude, it's
food.
It's,
I'm like,
it's
I
expensive.
told my girlfriend, I'm like, we're canceling our Vegas trip this year. Maybe, hopefully next year.
It's,
so I have still yet to go to Allegiant, bro. But, I mean, I'm not going to waste my time and money going to see a team get their ass whooped.
Again, man, I'm not going to blame you. I would say, go more for the memories, right? Like, to me, I remember the tailgates way more than I remembered. I mean, one of the games I went to in Oakland were unbelievable games. Like, we won 2 out of them, and then the final game in Oakland. But go there, enjoy the tailgate, meet some fans from Raider Nation, and tailgate won't be like an Oakland tailgate, but I mean, it'll be a fun memory, and I would look at it as try to build relationships with people, because I think you'd be surprised, like, if you wore a Raiders Report hat, or if anybody, like, I think if you met somebody that watched the show, I think that you would feel like you know them really well. But really appreciate you, dude. We're going to get some other people on here. And again, if you want to get on the Raiders Report.
Peace out, man. I appreciate you guys. You guys take it easy, man. And thank you guys for all the content, man. I really appreciate it. Y'all the best.
Appreciate you, dude. Appreciate you. Again, like, I don't mean to cut people off, and I didn't mean to cut you off there either. We're going to try to get people on and off. We're going to do the best that we can. We're working through some new graphics. We're working through some new things on our end. So there's going to be a little bit of kinks.
I think it looks all right.
I think it looks amazing.
It's kind of tough. Like, we tested the audio and everything, but not everything can be perfect.
Yep.
Sometimes it's different. He had an AirPod in, so it was a little bit better than the guy before. So it's very different, and this is very brand new for us, and we're just trying to give you guys some new fun content. And
yep.
It was if you do call in, just maybe speak a little bit louder than you normally do.
You know how you guys
just
always
pretend you're yelling at Pete Carroll or Geno Smith.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you know how you always yell at me? Like, this is my normal talking voice. When I get up here on the show, you gotta give it a little bit of that, and it's just, it's the talking to the mic so everyone can hear you. I know that many people do it, but I think what Reed said is perfect there. Act like you're yelling at Pete. Act like you're yelling at Geno Smith. Get loud, get proud. But the fact that people are willing to put their face up here, it does, man. It means a lot to me, because I feel like I get to see you, and that's how I remember people. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't remember every name, and if you expect me to, you're crazy, right? But like I do remember faces. I will say this: the Raiders press conference was supposed to start at 1. Pete has not taken these press conferences, and I like to be able to do these reaction videos because I want y'all to see that I'm just as frustrated as is each and every one of y'all. But like, again, like if I'm a Raiders media member, like why aren't we asking like, the questions that are just always asked? And it's frustrating to me because, I've talked to a lot of Raiders beat reporters. I've talked to a lot of Raiders beat writers over the past few weeks, and I get it. You're trying to earn your stripes with this current coaching staff, but I'm also like concerned that there are people inside of that room that listen and not like make decisions off what certain guys are saying, but like, if you hear a guy like Hondo saying, "Oh, we should keep Pete Carroll," blah blah blah, like I'm like, I like that concerns me a little bit, right? And when you have that thought process, that probably also impacts your ability to be able to ask the proper questions. And I'm a frustrated Raiders fan that wants more answers than what I'm getting. And I know that Pete can't give me the answers because, again, he's lost right now. I went through, I listened to everything Pete has said this year, but I'll just say it like this, and I'll keep saying it like this. If you are somebody close to Pete Carroll, please ask him to step down and retire for his own sake. Like, look at Pete Carroll now. And look at Pete Carroll when he got hired in February. Like, real person to real person, and I'm sure the Pete Carroll family doesn't like me at all. I don't blame you for not liking me. But, like, can you see the difference? Like, let's, like, make the change. Like, I actually think it's unhealthy for Pete to be the head coach of the Raiders. Like, what on earth? Like, what on earth can you take away from what Pete's selling? And, like, think about what Adam Butler said the other day. Can you go to the quote from Adam Butler for me? Because, like, when I hear Pete talk, and it just reminds me of the whole Josh McDaniels conversation. Jason, we'll go back to your super chat here in a moment. But this is what Adam Butler had to say, after the Eagles game. I would definitely say there was probably too many people talking and not enough people doing. And, as a leader, I just try to show the young guys what to do, how to play the run, how to play the pass, how to be a smart football player. That's all I can do. I've learned very quickly through this season that you can only control what you can control. I mean, that's an NFL veteran that's 31 years old, got multiple years in the league. And when I listen to that statement, it kind of makes me think of everything that I hear from Pete Carroll and I'm sure this coaching staff, where it's just a lot of words that don't have any meaning. They have all this empty meaning, right? Like, if I sat up here every single day, or if, I don't know, let's get personal here. I know somebody that, maybe their mom or dad hasn't been the most, present in their life. If that mom and dad tell you, hey, I'm going to be there for you, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and they never show up, you're not going to believe what they're telling you. They're not going to believe, what you're selling to them. And I would imagine there was a lot of players right now in that locker room that, why would I go to that coach? Why would I go to that coach? Why would I go to that guy? I'm going to go to somebody like Adam Butler, and I'm going to go to a player that's been in the league for a long time. And, I've heard a lot of rumblings, and I'll be real, like, I try to reach out to players. I haven't got a lot, and I think that that's a good thing. Like I said it before, if you're a Raiders player and you're talking to me right now, yeah, I appreciate it. But also at the same time, like, you shouldn't be reaching out to me, right? Like, you shouldn't be talking to me. And it's because of all the bullshit that's been going on. But when you hear that Pete Carroll presser, there's just, and I don't expect, for me to hear anything outside of the ordinary. Now, maybe I'm just used to it because I grew up in the New York area. I grew up in the Philly area. And guess what? The media, they come after you because that's their job. And as a media member, you're supposed to do your job to 110%. If the Raiders beat reporters, beat writers that are in that building tell me today that they felt like that they did their job at 100%, I'd say do a better job, right? Like, but the reason why these guys are getting paid millions upon generational wealth, yeah, I get it. Their job's to play in the NFL, but it's also an entertainment business. You are making the money because of the entertainment value. And as beat reporters, as beat writers, the new age, like, I know that old school journalism and Big J journalism, we call it here, like, I get it used to be a way, but we are starting to go into a different realm of the world where you have a great opportunity at your fingertips to get actual answers, to get actual questions. Like, if you ask a question about what's the Geno Smith injury, if he's like, oh, we're going to practice, we're going to work through it, shouldn't there be a follow-up to it? It's, well, what is the injury? Because for our starting quarterback, all we hear, it's a back and shoulder. Well, what's the injury? Is it an AC joint sprain? Is he dealing with back spasms? Like, we can't allow our head coach to just be able to say it's a shoulder and it's a back and he's not going to play. I mean, again, like, I don't give a shit. Like, I get that I don't care about Geno Smith. But, like, when you allow people to get away with things, and that's the Pete Carroll Raiders, right? Like, our beat reporters aren't holding our players and our coaches to that standard of, like, you're getting away with stuff. Just like you can't allow your quarterback to flip off fans and get away with it. It's just, it does start at the top, and I know Mark Davis is at the top, and Mark is the most responsible one out of anybody. I hear you loud and clear. But I also know that Mark Davis is trying to win, and Mark has hired and fired guys more than I don't think anybody ever thought possible, and we're about to do it yet again because Mark does want to win games. It's just we got to be able to find somebody that can actually make the right decisions for this organization. Jason, you're next up here on the show. Again, y'all, if you guys want to get in a duck race, we're going to do a $20 Venmo, Mitchell Renz 365 to win some money. And if you want a chance for me to call you, you can put your phone number in that duck race on that Venmo. And if we don't have anybody that calls in, I'll just end up calling y'all. We got a few people. Cool. I want to go through some super.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You're okay.
I was just saying, if you call and we don't answer, you get thrown in the queue. I see some people in there. And I'll call you back, and you just answer, and then we'll go from there. That's kind of how it's going. Because we know Mitch. We'll go on a rant about the Raiders and Pete and Geno, and don't want you guys just sitting there waiting for him to be done. So we'll call you whenever it's ready, and but we do have some super chats as well. So we'll
yeah.
throw those
And again,
in there
it doesn't
as well.
cost any money to call me. I just want to be very clear. It doesn't cost any money to call me. It's just if you want to, like, if you're like, hey, I want you to call me. Yeah, obviously, you pay money, we'll give you a call. Jason, Pete fired before end of the season. Who is the interim? Pete's not going to get fired by the end. He's not going to get fired in season. The only way that a different interim would have to step in, and if I would imagine, I would guess it would be Patrick Graham. Excuse me. But the reason why it's not going to happen is because if Pete ends up stepping down and retiring, I would imagine Brennan, I would imagine Nate end up doing the same thing. And right now for the Raiders, Nate Carroll's the quarterback coach. Brennan Carroll's the run game coordinator and the offensive line coach. I actually think that the Raiders, Pete, would be concerned how much better this team would look if you just got rid of those three guys right now. I get people oh, they're going to blame Chip. They're going to blame I'm not kidding you. I think if you got rid of Pete Carroll, Brennan Carroll, and Nate Carroll, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, this team would show minor improvements. And I don't think that you could tell me otherwise on that. What up, Santana Suave? I got you, man. Yo, my bad. You're right. I got confused. I understood Prescott was injured, not Parsons yet. I wrote Parsons. I'm not worried anymore. Yeah, it's all good, man. I watched that game last night with my wife, Alex, and very, very, very interesting. Oh, my goodness. More random NFL news. Jeffrey Simmons, his home was broken into yesterday in Santa Clara, California. Another person getting their home broke into. Wild. Jersey boy, if plan A for quarterback is Mendoza, what is plan B? There's not many options, especially if Moore goes back to college. So I've actually already done a whole video on this, Jersey boy. I would say go look at, it's literally called Raiders Draft Plan Revealed. I think I did it last week to me, you got 5 options. And I think you're asking me more quarterback option. So if Moore's off the table, there's 3 options that I would consider. And it's drafting Mendoza, and then the 2 others involve trading for players right now in the NFL. And, sometimes you got to look at opportunities when they present themselves. And sometimes, you might have to go out and trade for a player that you believe in. And I do believe in Cam Ward. That would be a guy that I would be entertaining the idea of going out and trading for, because I've heard from good sources that the Titans could entertain that idea. I would entertain the idea of going out and trading for a guy like Jalen Milroe, letting him learn for a year, because, again, I'm playing on my team's strengths. You get a quarterback that can run like Jalen Milroe and a 2 tight end set with Bowers and Mayer. You really bolster up that offensive line. You get a running back like Jeanty. I get like Milroe's not all that talented, but I also don't know how great Jalen Hurts is. But Jalen Hurts, they built an offense around his strengths, and they were able to get better and better and better. Jalen Milroe on that cheap rookie contract, I think you'd be able to build something at least just around him until he got better and better and better. Again, I think you could go a few different ways, but to me, I would entertain that idea. Again, people called me crazy a few years ago when I said I would give up a 4th-round pick for Jordan Love. This is back when Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback at the Packers. I know at that time Jordan Love did not look good, but I also trust my quarterback process. I feel like I have a lot of people that I trust around me that know quarterbacks that also, do a lot of homework on these prospects. Tom Downey, one of the best in the business on it. And, to me, I was confident in Jordan Love. I knew Jordan was going to be a good QB coming out of Utah State. Just like I'm still confident in Cam Ward. I would give up a 2nd-round pick for Cam Ward. Now, again, that's if I don't get Mendoza, right? Like, if I have the number 1 pick and I go trade for Cam Ward, that means I'm getting like 3 other first-round picks to be able to build with. But I do truly believe that if the Raiders have the number 1 overall pick, I don't see them passing up Mendoza. The only way I would say that you might pass up Mendoza, if you hire a offensive-minded head coach, let's say you hire a Clint Kubiak, right? You hire a Joe Brady, go get your quarterback. If you end up hiring a guy like a Brian Flores, a Shula, a Minter, maybe even a Robert Saleh has been a name I've been hearing more about. That's a guy that where you maybe go, all right, maybe I don't draft a quarterback like Mendoza number 1 overall. I trade back and I try to just get some more picks overall. We got almost 1,000 people here in the building. Got a few more super chats to get to. Before I do, though, we got a FaceTime call coming in. A reminder, if you want to get on the show, it's 945-225-1736. If you could, give me your first name, last name, YouTube name, whatever you want to give me. What's your question or comment? Appreciate you tuning in, man.
All right. My name is Mikey. You gave me a shout out. What was it? Yesterday, actually, or Sunday.
Hell yeah.
Actually, my girl's the one that sent you that little chat. But my question is, okay, you know how you guys made it? You made a video talking about Gruden, okay? And I feel personally, nothing against Gruden. I feel like he was a good coach or whatever at once upon a time. But do you feel that we would literally be in the same situation if we got Gruden?
I guess my problem is I don't know why anybody would want John Gruden because,
Same.
Well, Gruden traded away Khalil Mack. They did a full rebuild. So to me, I think it's crazy to hire somebody that literally already tried to do a full rebuild and failed at it. And people could say that he didn't fail. To me, he didn't win. His teams always fell apart at the end of the year. He had a lot of draft capital. He had a lot of free agency money. He did a lot of trades. It did not work. So to me, I personally don't want to be sold on John Gruden because I think people that want John Gruden, it's literally like you wanting to go hire another head coach, let's say like, I don't know, insert coach's name, and he goes, no, I'm not going to draft Mendoza. I'm going to go out and I'm going to get another Geno Smith, a Gardner Minshew, a Jimmy Garoppolo, and kind of retread that whole thing. Like, to me, if there's one thing that the Raiders truly haven't done in the last 23 years, it's they haven't drafted a quarterback. And I get it. In the first round, they haven't drafted a young guy since Jamarcus Russell. But I don't see Fernando Mendoza being a Jamarcus Russell, right? Like, I don't see Mendoza not giving a flying flip. I see him almost caring too much. So, like, I think when you look at a guy like Mendoza, you go get him a young, innovative, offensive-minded head coach, and that's just simply not John Gruden. And I think people like Gruden because he's entertaining, he's fiery, and if Gruden was smart, man, he should go coach in college. But to want John Gruden to come back to the Raiders, I think it's just you fell in love with that ex in high school. It's been really, really shitty the past few years, and now all of a sudden she's looking good again. But that's just because you're in a really bad relationship.
Exactly. And like I said, nothing against Gruden. I feel like, even Max has said that he's a good coach and he's a good person. But I just feel like we would just go back. And
I
You
actually
know,
think
it's I don't know.
I actually think that Gruden could be a good coach, but when you give somebody too much power, and that's also been Mark's problem. Mark's given John Gruden too much power. Josh McDaniels too much power, right? I saw people arguing about it before the show started. Dave Ziegler wanted to trade up to go get C.J. Stroud. Josh McDaniels didn't want to do it. He wanted, he was like, nah, we're going to go get Jimmy Garoppolo instead. I know a lot of people wanted Shedeur Sanders. The reason why the Raiders didn't draft Shedeur Sanders is because Pete Carroll said, no, I want people to buy into Geno Smith, and it's like when you give people too much power, it goes to their head, and I just want a smart organization to be like a healthy marriage. I want John Spytek and the head coach to be able to balance ideas off of each other, and I don't want it to just be one person calling the shots at the end of the day. So I'm hoping that's what ends up happening. But, dude, not too many people got better beard than me. Appreciate you tuning into the show, and hopefully we can keep on putting some smiles on some faces, man.
Oh, definitely. Thanks for everything and keeping the great work. And I'll be honest, I enjoy it.
I appreciate
really
it, man.
do.
I'll tell you this. If you're watching the show and it's 2-12 Raiders, that tells me that you're either a psychopath or you enjoy my content. And maybe it's both. I don't know.
It's a little bit of both.
A little bit of both. All right.
Definitely.
A little bit of both. Hey, man, it's all love to you. Greatly appreciate it. Reminder, if you guys want to call in to the Raiders Report, 945-225-1736. I will be live for another 30 minutes. I have to get out of here because I got a meeting here at Chat Sports. We just got a brand new sponsor, and it's probably one of the biggest sponsors that we've ever gotten here at the company, so I'm really excited about it. Again, we're still a small company. I remember the day when there was just 4 of us, and now, shit, man, we got a lot of freaking people here. But here are today's deals. No, you're okay. I'll just say this. If I don't get more people in the duck race, I only have one person in right now. I'm just going to say final call to get in. If the next time I look, if we don't have, let's say, 6, 7 people in that race, I'll just send the money back, and we don't have to do a duck race today. But if you want to get in, at Mitchell Renz 365, scan that QR code, $20 Venmo at your boy. Let's go to Daniel. Fans need to stop clamoring for Gruden. He isn't that guy anymore. We need new blood in here. Kubiak Mendoza 2026. I'm with you. Also, I'm pretty sure that's what Chuck's going to look like when he gets up there. I don't know how old your dog is, but Chuck's starting to get some grays. Again, and I don't blame people clamoring for Gruden because people sometimes want what we used to have, and I just think it's like we can get so much better. You know what I mean? Like if the Raiders finish this season and they're at like pick 10 because you won the final 3 games, that's when you look at a coach like Gruden. And I would still say that I wouldn't do it. But for a team that's got the number 1 overall pick or a team that has the chance to get the number 1 overall pick, that's like you having the number 1 overall pick and being like, you know what? I'm not going to take Mendoza. I'm going to take Ty Simpson. Now, if you could have Mendoza, but you take Ty Simpson, I'm going to be really mad about it. Just like if you could have a top young coach and you end up going and getting John Gruden, like it's not smart. But what Mark falls in the problem with is I think Mark deep down knows that he doesn't know a lot about football. So what does he do? He trusts his resume. And people that he's hired have had great resumes. And I get it. They've had great resumes. But it doesn't matter what it used to be. I care about right now. Let's go to Jeff. What up, Jeff? I actually tuned into a podcast that wasn't your friends after all. I found your friends' podcast after watching more, and they're a great show for sure. The other podcast, them dudes got all mad and defensive towards me, LOL. I saw you earlier in the chat today, and I saw the comment you made yesterday. And again, dude, like I love the fact that you aren't even a Raiders fan. You watch the show. You watch the show because your cousin's a Raiders fan. I am a little bit bitter towards you because I feel like all Seahawks fans, I'm like, son of a gun, right? It's like you gave us all your sloppy seconds, and now we're dealing with it. But I don't want to say like I came at you yesterday. But I came out yesterday because I know my guys here at Chat Sports work really hard. And I know that people always see some of these crazy Venmo super chats that we get on a daily basis. And, I think if people saw how much money I make and how much money my YouTube channel brings in, I think people would be astonished at the low percentage that I make. But we invest here into these young guys because I remember the first day that I got to work here and I was like, shit, man, I get to try to go live my dream. People can hate me all they want, but I really think people that get to know me, I'm a normal dude just like all of y'all that wants to help all my buddies grow, get to be able to achieve their dream. And, Like I want fans that watch this show, I want their kids to apply and work here at Chat Sports, right? Like that's the type of community that we've been able to build. So again, it wasn't just you. It was, I felt like you attacked my friend. And if you attack my friends or family, I'm going to get fiery about it, right? It's just like when Geno Smith threw up the birds to Raiders fans. He didn't throw up the bird to me. But when you rock with people that I rock with, and when I'm with people all the time, if you come after one of my own, I'm going to come after you. But, Jeff, I promise you, dude, it's all love. It's all love. It's all love. And if you can't have healthy arguments, if you can't have difficult conversations, you're not as in a good of a spot as you're at. Any healthy relationship I've ever had, any healthy argument, like my dad and I get into it, my mom and I get into it. They have my back to the end of the world and back. Like I've had, family arguments, but I think you're able to have those conversations because we're good. And I promise you, dude, we're good. Let's go to Champion Chuck. What up, man? Worst case, oh boy. If we so happen to fall in the draft and Mendoza and Moore is taken, what do you think about Diego Pavia? I did a little bit of a video on this over the weekend because I had so many people asking me about Diego Pavia. I also answered this in the mailbag that I put out. I think that was technically a few days ago on Saturday. The one that's got Joe Burrow on it. I think the idea of taking Diego Pavia for the Raiders is like, again, like worst case, like where are you taking him? Like to me, I ain't touching Diego Pavia in the first 5 rounds of the NFL draft, right? And I'm going to say this to Diego. I think he needs to wise the hell up. I know he released a statement today apologizing for the actions that he made. But the talent level that Diego Pavia has, it's not a quarterback you touch in the first 5 rounds of the NFL draft. I want to be very clear on that. The reason why a team would invest in Pavia is because of his leadership ability, because of his ability to rally a team like Vanderbilt and help build that program. But when you got a quarterback that's saying goes to a club after losing the Heisman, and I'm not saying don't go to a club. Shit, man, go to a club, have a good time. But instead of enjoying that moment and instead of it, making it about you, like, buy a sign, buy a bottle sign that says Diego Pavia for Heisman or go Vanderbilt, whatever the hell. When you make a sign and you pay your hard-earned money and it says, excuse my language, fuck Indiana, that's just childish behavior to me. Like, that's going to hurt Diego Pavia's draft stock. Then, he posts on his Instagram story, F all the voters. Like, that is going to really, really hurt Pavia's draft stock, and it should because it shows it shows me childish behavior, and I almost wonder if everything that I've seen about Pavia is just a show, that when the cameras are on, he's going to be this way, and when the cameras he thinks might be off, then he's going to act a different way. But like a talent perspective, I do think that there's an opportunity for him to make a football team and be a football player. I would never want him to be the quarterback of my football team because he's not a good enough of a thrower. I could probably paint a picture of how I think the Raiders' offense could look like. Remember everything I just talked about with Jalen Milroe? Kind of the exact same thing with Pavia and this team. You don't allow him to be a passer. You basically just allow him to be a runner. But, like, with the team that's got the number 1 overall pick, like, if you end up drafting Mendoza, I don't need Diego Pavia because if I'm going to put Pavia in, it's going to be in a Taysom Hill type role, 4th down and 1, 3rd down and 1. And I'm not going to take the quarterback that I just drafted number 1 overall off the field in the biggest situations of the game. So I respect Pavia's game. I respect it, but I am very disappointed in his actions over the weekend because I thought he was better than that. I thought he held himself to a higher standard. And, that's somebody that, again, like to me, if I speak positive about somebody, if I speak negative about somebody, I'm always so putting my name on the line. So for me to say that I think he's a great leader, a great human being, I forget everything else I said in it. When you do actions like that, I'm disappointed in Diego Pavia. So I'll say this: I don't want the Raiders to draft Pavia. I was on board with the idea of it. If again, you're taking him in the 6th, 7th round. If you don't get Mendoza, but now I'm good. Like I don't want Diego Pavia on the Raiders. Let's go to Ram. What up? Be there in 11 minutes. Eating in Chipotle right now. What are you getting? I mean, I used to love Chipotle, and now it's just
You don't like it anymore?
It's just so overpriced.
Oh,
I mean, I remember when I could walk into a Chipotle with less than $10 and still be able to get guac. Now,
oh, wow.
now, $10. I don't even know what $10 gets you at Chipotle anymore.
Yeah.
Let's go to Darth. What's up, man? Did you hear about Randy, the brown-nosed reindeer? He was faster than Rudolph, but couldn't stop as fast.
What does that mean, Mitch?
It's a shitty situation.
Yeah, there
That's
you go.
I don't know, though. I bet you there's a few Chargers reindeer that probably have that same problem. Though they're probably in the front slowing down on purpose. John, I don't know how this got through, but all right, you guys know how I feel about Hondo. You know how I feel about people that associate with Hondo at this point. And I've never met Hondo. I've never had that conversation. I just know that there are certain people that, for whatever reason, don't communicate with me anymore because they now talk to Hondo Carpenter. And I think that's pretty lame. Danny, this is a 20-year issue, not Pete Carroll issue. I'm not totally disagreeing with you that it's not a 20-year issue. It is a Pete Carroll issue. But with all due respect, I don't know how you say that it's not a Pete Carroll issue. Like, I don't know how you look at this football team right now and say that Pete Carroll is not an issue.
I think two things can be true at the same time.
Exactly. Again, Shasta, I refuse to let the Raiders ruin my NFL season. I honestly have completely stopped watching them. Nothing to see. Change is inevitable. See, to me, I still think it is important to watch, though. And because I want to see what players do I think are, still showing up and still giving a shit. Like, I literally laugh every time I see Raiders PR put out something about Devin White because I bet you they actually think that Devin White's having a good season. But, you see that video yesterday of Maxx Crosby yelling at Devin White, like, set the edge. Greg Olson's trolling us on the broadcast, not ROC Greg Olson, but the broadcaster Olson. Olsen. Ours is SON. But, like, he's trolling us, and they're like, basically like, the Raiders can't do basic coverage. I don't think I've ever seen a team just not set the edge. And the problem with the Pete Carroll Raiders are what should happen is you should sit down Devin White, who's your green dot middle linebacker, who's played 100% of the snaps all season long, and he shouldn't be getting 100% of the snaps. But it's because you come up with this predetermined notion that he's going to be your green dot middle linebacker, and you're just not going to go away from it, even though it's clear that he's just really, really bad at playing middle linebacker, right? It's just like it's the pre-notion that, no, JPJ is never going to play center. How can you say that, right? Like, how can JPJ be like, no, he's never going to play center, but the first time Jordan Meredith gets hurt, we're like, all right, now we'll switch around the offensive line. It's when I hear the Raiders and you see the Raiders' problems, I just think it's important to know the full picture. And to me, I'm going to watch every game. I'm going to watch every snap because I also want to know, like, going into it, what that full picture is. And I think it's important to know where this team is at from top to bottom. And, like, I hear you. I don't blame people. But at the same time, I'm going to watch every snap because it's also my job. So it's my job, so you don't have to. Jason, Pete Presser, weaker than his game plan. Pathetic. It's up there. Pete's also only going to answer the questions that are being given to him. And I've talked to plenty of Raiders beat reporters, man. I've talked to a bunch of the guys, and they're going to tell me that they are confident in what they're doing, that they don't feel like what I'm saying is true. And that's fine, right? Like, I get it. They're in that room. I'm not. And, I've had a lot of people, well, Mitch, you become a Raiders beat reporter. I don't want to take a step back. Like, I actually think in my life, where I'm at in my career, me being a Raiders beat reporter is like 2-3 steps back in where I'm going to try to go in my career. But to me, I get both sides of it. Pete doesn't want to be there. I'm sure the Raiders beat reporters don't want to be there. But I do think that the reporters and beat writers would earn a lot more respect from me, from Raider Nation, if they, just ask some sort of difficult questions. Because I'll tell you this, nobody in that Raiders beat room could make it in New York. None of those Raiders beat writers could make it in Philadelphia. And that's the media group that I grew up watching. So that's what I expect, because those people say exactly what's on their mind. Just like me. I feel like I say exactly what's on my mind. Sir Chai, no offense, Adam Butler, but you haven't played well either. I know Butler hasn't played nearly as well, but you also got to remember what type of player Adam Butler is. Like, Adam Butler shouldn't be your top defensive tackle on your roster. Adam Butler is the sixth man on a basketball team, but right now he's forced to start at center, right? Like, imagine a basketball roster, I don't know, if you had a dude like Draymond Green be your sixth man. maybe that's a bad example. I don't watch basketball anymore. But, my point is, if you have somebody that should be your sixth man, but he's forced to start because Christian Wilkins and that whole situation happened, he's not going to be as nearly as effective. If you have a 7 or 8 hitter that now all of a sudden you're forced to put him at the top of the order, they're not going to be nearly as effective. Adam Butler is a really good defensive tackle when he's your second or third defensive tackle. The fact that he's being asked to do everything that he's being asked to do when we also don't have a lot of talent next to him, like Thomas Booker's okay. Thomas Booker's in the same book, though. Like, the Raiders were built thinking that they were going to have a top interior tackle like Christian Wilkins. And, yeah, you're asking Draymond Green right now to score 20 points a game. And if that's your expectation, he's not going to be any good. And that's the Raiders' problem. They're not playing to their players' strengths. Like, what they should do to help out Adam Butler is play Tyree Wilson more at defensive tackle, but they only play him at edge. They only play him at defensive end. Why? Because that's what they thought of in the beginning of their head at the beginning of the season. Maxx Crosby had every right to check Devin White. And Maxx Crosby should check more players. Like, I also think people should check Maxx Crosby. Like, I'm not saying Max, deserved to be checked last game because this guy's playing all over the place. But, like, if Maxx Crosby, let's say, misses an assignment, there needs to be a player that can go up to Maxx Crosby and say, hey, you didn't do this. And I guarantee you this, Max would love that type of shit. Because Max is that type of dude where, again, man, he has that 1% next level type of shit. And we just need more guys that give a shit about winning football games with the Las Vegas Raiders. We need coaches that want the same thing. What up, Quinn? This team is so sad. I fully believe that the Giants are going to kick our ass. First-round pick Fernando Mendoza, or do we try to fix the O-line? You can do both. You can walk into the NFL draft with a fixed offensive line if you come up with the right plan. And, I watched Charles Grant tape yesterday. It's only 5 snaps, but I was impressed by what I saw. And I think right now you can have that idea that Charles Grant can be potentially your right tackle, that JPJ can be your center, that Colt Miller can be your left tackle. And with $107 million salary cap, whatever the hell we have, top 2 in the NFL, you have enough money to go address your offensive line in free agency or to be able to make a few trades. Because what you can't do is you can't walk into the NFL draft not confident in your offensive line and then take Fernando Mendoza. Just can't happen. So to me, if you want to take Mendoza, make sure that you invest in your offensive line because you're not only investing in Mendoza, you're investing in your running back that you drafted number 6 overall in Ashton Jeanty. You're investing in your other first-round pick in Brock Bowers because he also plays offense. You are investing in your future. So that's why going into it, you got, like, to me, again, if they don't put their hand in the dirt, I don't want the Raiders to spend money on them in free agency until that money is spent. Like, if we got $107 million, we're going to allocate $80 million. $80 million to guys putting their hands in the dirt, offense, defense. And then if we have some other money left over, let's go spend some other money to fill some holes. And then in the draft, we got to be able to draft really well and fill a lot of positions of need. And what's up, dude? Raiders should pursue Marcus Freeman at all costs. I like Marcus Freeman. He's a good coach. But I think the Notre Dame job is better than the Raiders job.
I was going to say, I don't think he's leaving there.
He just signed an extension, I believe, through 2030.
Oh, my gosh. Especially.
There you go.
Especially with him having a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. They left him out. He's coming back with vengeance next year.
I mean, that's what you're hoping for. I like Freeman a lot. I really, truly do. I think he's a great young coach. But, again, like we look at it as college football, NFL. In today's day and age, man, with the deals that these guys are getting, you can make an argument Notre Dame is a better job than the Raiders right now. Now, if the Raiders have the number 1 overall pick, then it becomes a little bit more interesting. But if the Raiders don't have the number 1 pick, there's a lot of college jobs that are better than the Raiders job. I'll tell you that. Khalil, why not trade back and build in the draft? Because you still need a quarterback, right? Like, can't be Kenny Pickett. He's a free agent. If you're going to sell a team that Aiden O'Connell is going to be your quarterback, you can kiss every good head coach candidate away. I mean, you might as well just stick with Pete. The reason why you got to go get a quarterback is because you just clearly need a quarterback. And I think the other reason why you're going to end up taking a quarterback is because of job security. If I'm being hired this year and I'm the brand new head coach, and I go draft a quarterback at number 1 overall, my job is going to be with him. Like, I think it's the safest way to ensure that you're going to have 3 years, which the next Raiders head coach, that's probably got to be a conversation that needs to be had. Jeff, bro, I super chatted you like a couple times. Just wanted trying to ask questions. You're good, man. You're good. You're good. I see a few more supers that we got to be able to get to before I get out of here.
I threw up the time, not to cut you off. Sorry, Mitch.
You're okay.
I just wanted to let everyone know we got about 10 minutes left until we got to sign off.
Yeah, we got a meeting. Also, I see enough people. We are going to be able to do a duck race here.
Sweet.
So, Robert D., I got you. Steven Mont, I got you. Bronson, Ketchum, Rustin, Long, Darth.
Sin making fun of me because I said especially.
Justine, I see Philip Mild, and then Philip Mild again. So, right now, Greg, I got you. It's a $20 Venmo. You have the opportunity to win $90 here on the Raiders Report. John, honestly, Mitch, that plan is freaking awesome. Trade your number 1 pick for a haul of first and second round picks and trade for Milroe or Ward. Again, like to me, it's got to come down to whoever you hire a head coach, it's got to have the same plan as John Spytek, because if there's one thing I learned from this offseason, the front office and Pete Carroll, the coaching staff, didn't see eye to eye. So when you don't see eye to eye, your plans and your, where you think that this team's going to go is very off. And the Raiders right now just look like a completely disconnected team. And again, they are a bad team, but they are also, there's no cohesion. So you got to come up with a cohesive plan, because when you do, it's easier to be able to go forward and execute that plan. But again, I put out a video of what I would do if I was the Raiders, and I put out 5 scenarios if you had the number 1 overall pick. If you want to go check it out, look up Raiders draft plan, Raiders Report. Guarantee it'll pop up. What up, Chris? Mitch, former Raider, 2-time Super Bowl winner Tom Flores was fired by the Seahawks and his entire staff. I don't see why Pete Carroll should be treated differently. I don't remember when Tom Flores was fired. It's obviously a long time ago. I know Flores was one of our greats, and, I don't remember how old Flores was when he was fired.
Because a lot of it is...
I also think, though, like
He's an old guy.
History has a tendency to repeat itself. And I just look at what Seattle did and how they had to try to move on from Pete Carroll the way that they did. And think about everything that Pete did for that organization. And now you look at where the Seahawks are at and you look at where the Raiders are at, right? Like, I think that's just a very, very telling thing. But I think one of the other reasons why I want the Raiders to draft Mendoza, the silver and black have set the path on so many different, the first black woman being hired as president, the first, minority head coach. I mean, there's so many firsts that the Raiders have done, and I think being able to go out and getting a quarterback like Fernando Mendoza of Cuban descent, I think that he is a Raider in his own way, and I think being a Raider is at time maybe being a little bit of an outcast, maybe being somebody that nobody believes in you. And I know, like, we sell commitment to excellence and we sell all these old propagandas that the Raiders used to be in the 80s. But I think Fernando Mendoza fits what the Raiders are. It's a team that nobody believes in. Nobody believed in Mendoza. That sounds like a great guy to be able to build around to me, because he sounds like exactly what we are. And I think sometimes that's what you need. Jersey boy. Should the Raiders draft a new kicker or sign one? I'd have to look at the kickers, man. I'm not bringing back Daniel Carlson. He's going to be a free agent.
There's not a lot of ton out there.
Yeah,
everyone's having.
I think you have to evaluate like what you could potentially get, like how much Carlson would cost. If Carlson's willing to come back on like a $2.5 million deal, because I believe this year he's making like 4.2. I'll say this: if I get to a point in the season where I'm doing kicker videos, that means we've done a lot of really, really good things this offseason, because priority list, and I'm not saying kicker's not important, but how many other positions of need do we have over kicker? I'd say all of them, outside of running back. Outside of tight end and running back, all of the other positions are a bigger need. But I hear you. Let's go to Real Cowboy, throwing shit at the wall here. But do you think Pete Carroll possibly set Kenny Pickett and the offense up to fail more than usual, so Geno Smith looked better? I don't think that. I do wonder, based on Kenny Pickett's comments, if he thought that. Can you go to that quote real quick? Because Kenny Pickett was really like, I don't know how they knew what plays we were going to do. I just think the Raiders' problem is they're bad. They don't point the finger at the right people. And not only are they bad, they're very predictable. We got to mix it up a little bit. I think gun runs under center, we can't let them tee off on tendencies. I feel like they were a beat faster than us on certain things this week, beating us to the punch on some blocks maybe. I don't know what our tells are, but we have to take a look at that. And the Raiders have a lot of tells. The Raiders, have done the same plays over and over again, and I think the biggest tell that the Raiders do, and the reason why the offense struggles the way that it does, is because they literally run the same schemes, the same concepts, the same running styles, the same tendencies, and they've been doing it. Pete's doing what he did in Seattle, so I think coaches are like, well, I know Pete's not going to switch it up, so as long as we watch the game tape, we will be prepared. It's just like doing a test for a teacher. Instead of the test being on chapters 1 to 10, Pete's like, the test is on chapter 1. So if you know what chapter it's going to be on, you're going to be able to be a lot more prepared. And that's another reason why, again, anybody that wants this coaching staff back is an idiot. And I'm sorry, but it's just how I feel. And it's because when teams are so prepared for you, it's because you're easy to prepare for. And the Raiders are just very easy to prepare for. Phillip, we bounced Rich Bisaccia when the team actually was playing with pride. I think that's what the AP hire was. I think the AP hire was trying to right that wrong with Bisaccia. And if there's, honestly, out of all the head coaches that the Raiders have moved on from John Gruden, Rich Bisaccia, Josh McDaniels, Antonio Pierce, and now Pete Carroll, I think the only head coach that I really sit back there and I go, man, I wonder what could have been is Rich Bisaccia. Born a Raider fan, is there any more on the staff we should keep? To me, there's 3 coaches I would really try to keep. I would try to keep tight end coach Luke Steckel. He's one of the best tight end coaches in the NFL. He made it through multiple different regimes in Tennessee, which I think speaks volumes. Also, Rob Leonard, one of the best defensive line coaches in the NFL. The other person I would look at, and it's only because of what I have heard from one player in particular, it's the Raiders running back coach McCollum, who used to be with Notre Dame. So to me, those are the top 3 coaches that I would try to keep. I also think, and I would consider Marcus Robertson, our cornerback coach, because I don't know if he's getting a fair shake because Pete's all about corners, and I do know a lot of people that respect him. Garth, I like the idea of trading for Milroe. Oh, sorry. Where does Mendoza stack up to the 2024 draft class? It's a hell of a question. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, Drake May would still be my number 1. I had Jaden, Caleb Williams. I think, again, it's not just about talent. Like, to me, Mendoza is so much more important about who you put him with and what you build around him with than talent. Because talent-wise, he probably would have been quarterback 4 for me in that year. I would have had him before McCarthy and Bo Nix and Michael Penix, but I would not have had him over Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, or Drake May. Again, I'm still actually very early in the process of breaking down my quarterbacks and what I think about them for 2026. Garth, I like the idea of trading for Milroe. The Raiders' history of drafting quarterbacks in the first round, very dismal at best. I could also say, Raiders drafting in round 1 hasn't been good in history. But I would say Brock Bowers a hell of a tight end. And I would say Ashton Jeanty is a hell of a running back. I know that the past scares people, and it should scare people when you're as bad as what the Raiders have been. But also at the exact same time, I'm going to trust in this front office. I'm going to trust that whoever head coach they bring in is going to be able to make proper decisions and is going to be able to make good decisions, not only for this year, but for the future of the Raiders. Phillip, who else is worried we beat the Chiefs at home when they have Minshew and nothing to play for? I mean, I'm definitely more worried, right? If Mahomes was playing in that game and if they were fighting for a playoff spot, I hear you. But, let's also think about how worried Eagles fans were and how worried just people in general were that the Raiders might beat Philadelphia. When you are as bad as what the Raiders are, Gardner Minshew and the Chiefs, if they turn the ball over a bunch, anything's possible. But if the turnover battle is even, the Raiders aren't beating anybody this year. I mean, they are historically bad. They are a top 10 team in the history of the NFL when you look at a lot of metrics. And they might be the worst Raiders team of all time, which is saying a lot when you look at the past 23 years. So I believe we are all caught up on all the super chats. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to run a duck race, and then I got to get out of here because I got a team meeting. If anything else happens today, obviously I'll keep you guys in the loop. You will get another video later on today, and you will get a video bright and early tomorrow. I will be live on the Raiders Report tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. So just please keep that in mind. I am also going to be visiting my family for the holidays this week. So just bear with me if anything Thursday, Honestly, like Wednesday afternoon until the Raiders play the Texans, I'm going to be pretty much not around. You guys will still get videos every single day, but I haven't been home for the holidays in probably, 3 or 4 years. I hate admitting that, but it's the truth. And I'm going to spend time with my mom, my dad, my aunts, my grandparent, my grandma. We're all gonna hang out. So yeah, it was good after we fixed it. Okay. Okay. All right, y'all. Final call to get in our duck race. It's a $20 Venmo for a chance to go home with $90 here on today's program. $90 to the winner. Last chance for you to get in. Can you add Brian Baca? Can you give me Brian Baca? Winner now goes home with $100 hairs. Brian Baca, you in. Final refresh. We're good to go. Good luck to all y'all in this race. Oh, little Santa action. All right. Little Santa action. 3, 2, 1. Let's get it going. Somebody's going to go home with $100. And the winner also gets to put their nose in Rudolph's butthole. That sounds like that's Darth. If Darth has ever
that's got to be Darth.
If Darth has ever wanted to win a race, it's this race.
Well, I was going to say whoever comes in last gets the brown nose. You know why.
Hey, you get the biggest prize of all, the butthole pick. I mean, I'm not shocked that Darth right now is leading this race. He is given everything that he's got to win this one. I mean, I'm pretty sure Darth would try to finish out. You ever see that? I want to see that movie, like The Long Walk, or it's something like they have to literally just walk until you can't walk anymore.
Wow.
And
I love how they're walking, yeah. I think Greg is about to pull.
I don't know. D. Liberty,
This
Brian
is
Baca,
close.
Philip
What are we doing?
Mild. Somebody's got to make a move.
Oh, my goodness. Philip. Oh, there it is.
Robert! The first one in. The first one in the duck race ends up getting the dub. Robert, shout out to you, man. Robert, if you could, please confirm that you just received 100 doll hairs here on the Raiders Report. Robert, shout out to you, man. Shout out to you, dude. All right, y'all. I want to just say I appreciate you guys bearing with me. I know we went through some technical difficulties when we first got started with the Pete Carroll presser, but I hope that
you can blame that on me.
I hope that you can see this, though. Like, our team's trying to try out new things. We're trying to give you guys some new looks, some different graphics to get you more involved. We're going to be able to continue to do it time and time again. Somebody said, which Robert? Robert D. Liberto was the name that I got. Robert D. Liberto. I promise you this. We're going to continuously try to give Raider Nation the content they deserve. And I hope that you guys don't give up on me. I'm not going to give up on you. We're going to be loud together. We're a nation together. And I promise you this. We're going to give you guys everything that we got, because I think we got to be able to stick through this together. From Reed, from my team here at Chat Sports, I will see you guys tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific, here on the Raiders Report.